Hey everyone, thought it was time to let everybody know what's going on with me in video form. I don't have a lot of energy right now, and I'm not really getting around too well, so sorry that my jump cuts are all going to be in this one location. So Sunday night, I had been sitting around the house for a few days. Hadn't gone anywhere, and I said, you know, I need to get out, do something. So I went around, I ran some errands, experienced the fresh air, and I went and got groceries. I came home to unload the groceries, and as I'm walking around my van, a couple of guys come out of a car 2 doors down. The guy out of the passenger side says to me, "Excuse me, sir." Now the fellow behind him pulls out a shotgun and he says, "This is a stick-up." I mean, really, who says that? Well, here, I'll show you the scene.
I apologize in advance for how shaky this is, but I only got the one hand to work with. Got home, parked right where my van is, and a couple of fellas got out of a car right where that Taurus is parked, and maybe the next spot over. But anyway, they came over, showed me a shotgun, and asked for some money.
I ain't got no money. Who carries money? The guy, you know, with no gun, who's closer to me, he's pretty much right up on me at this point. Says, "Well, we gotta have something." I mean, nothing. So he's pushing me around, you know, and I'm pushing back.
There's a little bit of a scuffle around here.
"You gotta give me something. You gotta give me something." I told him I didn't have anything to get him. So, shotgun guy comes up and he puts the shotgun up to my ear, and he fires a shot up into the air. That doesn't seem, in retrospect, like a very good idea, because it managed to draw the attention of everybody in the building, you know, so they all looked out their windows and got a pretty good look at these jackasses. So after he fires that shot off, I thought, you know, it's probably time I try to be making my way away from here. And I went in my pocket. I was going to try and pull out my BlackBerry and dial 911 or something, but I fumbled it. You know, I fumbled it quite a ways away. And fortunately, they didn't notice, because you know, that's how I got the updates out of the house. If they'd have noticed it, I'm sure they'd have taken it. Side note: speed dial is destroying our lives. How many people's phone numbers do you know? If you had an emergency and you had to call them, and you didn't have your cell phone with the speed dial on you. You know, how many people could you actually call? Just putting that out there. So anyway, I'd like to think that somebody has called the cops, because the guy has shot off a shot already. Certainly somebody knows what's going on, but I can't tell from where I am. So I thought I would make my way, you know, toward one of the apartments that was closest to me. These guys see me walking away, and they decide to walk away too. They turn around and they walk back toward their car, and they would split up. The passenger who was shoving me around earlier, he says, "No, fuck this. We need to get something." And they both turn around and start coming back. And he starts shoving me again. You know, and now we're, you know, close to the middle of the parking lot. And he's shoving me again. And I'm shoving back. I'm like, "Dude, go away, man. I haven't got anything to give you." And he's telling his friend, "Man, fuck this. Shoot him. Shoot him." And he's standing right next to me. You know. Guy's got a shotgun and he's standing right next to me telling him to shoot me. So, I mean, these guys are not very smart, alright? He figured out anyway that he ought to get the hell out of the way. And he starts walking away, and I turn around and walked away. And I must have had my hand down, you know, near the back of my leg somewhere, because I heard him shoot again. And I felt like a punch in my leg, you know. It stings a lot, but it didn't bring me down. You know, so I took a few more steps.
So I walked away from him, and I got about over here, and they went ahead and shot me. And I started walking over this way, and I made it right over to the sidewalk, right there, before I collapsed.
So I hadn't mentioned that I had a beefaroo cup in my hand this whole time. And I was trying to make my way to this particular apartment door. I'm starting to realize I'm not going to make it. You know, it's the closest door, and it's still about you know, 4 or 5 steps too far. I threw the cup at the door, you know, by way of knocking, and fell down on the ground. Now, my neighbors in all this were pretty great, and I have to thank all my neighbors, because as soon as the guys with the guns took off, you know, the neighbors came out and started talking to me. So, you know, and I wouldn't have expected them to come out while somebody's flailing a gun around. You know, that would just be dumb. But I mean, as soon as they cleared out, you know, everybody in the complex was outside, you know, helping me out. And the paramedics arrived. They put me up on the gurney, and this is the first time I've seen my hand, because I've had my hand down, you know, holding onto my leg, and I saw I had this black leather glove on, and I saw all the little holes in it, and you know, and I've been shot with a shotgun. What the hell? They took my coat off. Endorsement for Carhartt coats, maybe, I don't know, but I was wearing a Carhartt coat, and I do not have any shot anywhere in my body that was covered by that coat. I'm just saying. So they get me in the ambulance, and they say, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't know, St. Anthony's." The EMT says, "Are you sure? Because Swedish American is closer." Well, you know, because of my work and whatnot, I know a lot of people that, you know, over at Swedes, and I said, "That's fine." I had gotten my cell phone, you know, out of the parking lot. One of my neighbors grabbed it for me. So this being 2010, you know, I decided on the ambulance ride over that I really needed to make a cell phone call, and I called my sister, who did not answer. You know, I missed her by one ring, whatever. I left her a voicemail. I thought, am I positive she's going to be checking her voicemail tonight, whatever? So I sent her a text. So I got one texting thumb, and the morphine's kicking in. So the text I get off is, I was shot, going to Swedes. In the ambulance ride over to Swedes, I got what would be the majority of my medical treatment for the next day or so. It was bandages, morphine, oxygen, and IV drip saline. I was trying to keep a good attitude. You know, the paramedics told me I had probably the best attitude of any shooting victim they'd ever seen. And I thought, you know, I translated that to mean, well, you've got a lot more whining that you could be doing, you know. So I tried to make it up a little bit. Coming into the emergency room was a little less frantic than on TV. They finished cutting off my clothes. They got me warmed up. I got this picture real quickly of my leg. Graphic nature, viewer discretion advised. Pretty cool, huh? My sister Mary and her son Rob and my brother Joe and his wife Kathy came to see me in the ER and hung out with me through that. I'd like to say they were supportive, but that would be a lie. You got me so bad. Which was good. You know, my spirits were pretty high. Having a family there, you know, we're kind of making jokes, you know, as much as we can. But you know, we're having a good time with it. I'm not saying I had a good time being shot, but you know, as good of a time as I could have had anyway. You know, that's like I said, the majority of my medical treatment was, you know, the saline, the morphine. They stopped the oxygen, and they bandaged me up. They sent me off to a patient room. I'm a little foggy on the times, but I'm pretty sure I got shot around 8 o'clock at night. It wasn't too long after that I was in the hospital. They said, you know, that I was going to go into surgery the next morning, you know, when the orthopedist showed up. And in the morning I saw the orthopedist. He came and he talked to me, and you know, he said, yeah, I'll get you in, and I'm probably going to leave most of these pellets in you. You know, anything that's not right near the surface, or in you know, muscle tissue or whatever. There's no reason to remove the pellets, so I'm going to be carrying most of these pellets as souvenirs. Now, the first sign that my surgery in the morning is going to actually happen starts around noon. They came in, you know, up to my room on the 10th floor, and they wheeled my little bed down to the surgery department in a waiting room. I waited there for God knows how long, when they came in and they said, you know, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to bump you because we had an emergency case come in. And I said, an emergency? What? Did they get shot twice? And then about 2 hours later they came in and said they were going to bump me for another hour again because they had another emergency. Now, I don't want to sound like a big whiner or anything, but I got shot and I've been waiting for 17 hours. What kind of emergency you got? Whatever. A full 20 hours after I was shot, they finally wheeled me into the operating room, and they put me under. Next thing I know, I'm in recovery room. The bandage on my leg hasn't changed, so there's nothing new there. They did change out the one on my hand, you know, so I'm taking stock of things. When I saw the doctor, he said that he removed one pellet. One pellet from my index finger. Only one had gone in to my index finger through the back and was right on the pad of my finger. And he said that would have been irritating forever, you know, whenever you pick something up. So I removed that one. The rest are staying. Yeah. So I spent another night in the hospital after my surgery, and they were releasing me the next morning. And my sister Mary said to me, "Maybe you ought to come stay with me for a couple of days." I said, "No, I don't need to do that. You know, I got up this morning. I walked around and I took a shower all by myself. I can go back to my apartment and take care of myself." So they wheeled me outside, and I tried to get into her minivan, and 3 minutes later when I got in, I said, "You know what? I probably ought to go out to your place and stay for a couple days." At any rate, that's the story. So in summation, thank you to my neighbors who were all, you know, pretty awesome, and to the paramedics. My sister seems to think they're from Metro, but I thought they were Loves Park Fire, so we'll get that figured out. But thanks to you too, whoever, and the ER staff was pretty awesome. You know, I met a whole lot of awesome people through this experience, so you know, thank you, awesome people. That's the short version. If you're awesome, thank you. Bye.